Alright guys, welcome to the third part of our lesson 2. So, tapos na po tayo sa pag-discuss about the attributes. Later on naman, we will be able to use a couple of things like elements na magagamitan natin ng different attributes as we progress on this lesson. So, as for the time being, I am introducing you to the components of making an HTML. Right, let's go ahead and proceed to the next slide, which is about displaying text. If you want to display text in HTML, you can use a paragraph or span. No, the paragraphs or the P element contain a block of plain text, and the span contains short pieces of text or other HTML. They are used to separate small pieces of content that are on the same line as other content. Now, let's take a look at each of these elements in action below. Okay. So, meron tayo ditong div. Let me go ahead and zoom in the code. Now, we have the div division for the heading 1, technology, is the content of the heading 1. Then we have the second division, which contains paragraph. Self-driving cars are anticipated to replace up to 2 million jobs over the next 2 decades. So, inside the paragraph tag, meron tayo ditong inilagay na span tags before self-driving cars or inside the self-driving cars content. So, let's take a look on this example. There are two different divs. Again, ito yung first part and then the second one. And the second one contains the paragraph and the span. Now, it's best to use span tag when or element when you want to target a specific piece of content that is in line or on the same line of the other text. If you want to divide your content into blocks, it's better to use div. So, ibig sabihin, parang in layman terms, itong paragraph na to, hinahati mo pa rin siya in additional division. Meron pa siyang subdivision na tinatawag. And if you wanted to make that division, pero yung text na yon is actually found on the same paragraph, then use the span element. Okay? So, ito, nagkikreate ka ng division. Inside that division are maybe 1, 2, up to many elements. Pero dito, you use the span element if you wanted to divide an inline text that is part of one paragraph. Okay, so yun po yung paggamit natin because we wanted to create a special division for that matter. Okay, so later on, papakita tayo ng mga ilan sa mga examples pa as we progress. The next thing that we are going to talk about is how to style text. No? You can also use a style text using HTML tags. Katulad po ng M tag or emphasis tag. It will emphasize the text while the strong tag highlights important text. Now, if you will see, parang nag-create ka ng italic text in your paragraph using the M tag. While the strong tag, you create a strong or parang bolded highlight sa iyong text. Before, nung mga previous version ng HTML, ang ginagamit dito is yung I for italic tag, pinalitan na siya ngayon ng M. Dito naman, B for bold, pinalitan na ng strong. So, moving forward in HTML5, ito na yung gagamitin natin na tags. So, later, when you begin to style websites, you will decide how you want your browser to display the content within the emphasis and the strong tags. Now, browsers, however, have built-in style sheets that will generally style these tags in the following ways. Una, yung ating emphasis tag. So, italic emphasis yan. And then, strong tag, the bold emphasis. Now, let's take a look on each style in action. So, katulad nito, no, example natin. Let me zoom it in again. Alright, so meron tayong paragraph dito. The Nile River is the longest river in the world, measuring over 6,850 kilometers long or approximately 4,260 miles. So meron tayong isang paragraph dito wherein, in this example, the strong, hold on, let me get my laser. Okay, the strong and emphasis tag are used to emphasize the text to produce the result wherein the Nile River will be in bold text and the longest text will become italic. Okay, sorry, nakalimutan kong i-paste dito yung aking sample outcome. Pero later on, promise, we have an example for this. Okay, so that is how you style text now using a strong and emphasis tag. The next thing that I will be showing you is the line breaks. Now, the spacing between code in an HTML file doesn't affect the positioning of elements in your browser. Kung maglagay ka man ng parang, for example, mag-enter ka ng mag-enter dun sa iyong code, pero wala kang ginagamit na line breaks, it's not gonna affect the appearance of your text on your web browser. So, if you wanted to create line spaces, you need to create line breaks for that. Now, if you are interested in modifying the spacing in your browser, you can use HTML line break element, the BR tag. No? So, itong BR tag natin. If you notice, wala itong kapartner na, what you call that, closing tag. Kasi ang BR po is a self-sustained element. So, kahit wala naman siyang closing tag, okay lang. It's gonna work as it is. Okay, so, the line break element is actually unique because it is only composed of a starting tag. Katulad ng image, lang siya. Starting tag lang, wala tong closing tag. You can use it anywhere within your HTML code and a line break will be shown in your browser. So, far, you have an exercise for this. No? Dito, nagkaroon na ng break or line break after the 6,850, then it will create a new line to your web browser and then continue to the remaining paragraphs that is inside your opening and closing tag. Alright, so for this matter, we are under now on an unordered list. Okay, before we go ahead and discuss this, I'd like to ask you guys, whenever you create like paragraphs, underneath sometimes you wanted to list important items na ayaw mong i-represent as an entire paragraph or in a complete sentence. Parang ano lang to, may mga ilang words lang and then nakalist ito using bullets. Now, enable for us to do that in your web browser, you need to create or use an ordered list element. So, in addition to organizing text in paragraph form, you can also display content in an easy-to-read list. In HTML, you can use an unordered list tag or UL tag to create a list of items in no particular order. Kasi ibig sabihin ng no particular order, basta nilist mo lang yon, hindi naman yun nag-create ng isang na parang top 1, 2, 3, 4, wala naman pong ganun. So parang in any order lang siya, random order. An unordered list outlines individual list item with a bullet point. The UL, ito pong UL, the UL element should not hold raw text and won't automatically format raw text into an ordered list of items. Individual list items must be added to the unordered list using the LI tag. So, ito yung gagamitin niya. For example, nag-create ka ng UL element, opening tag, hindi siya automatic na mag-create ng list. Kailangan mong gumawa muna or gumamit ng additional tag which is the LI or list item tag. Now, the LI or list item tag is used to describe an item in a list. So, for example, meron tayo ditong UL tag. zoom it in again for better reading. So, meron tayong opening UL tag and the closing UL tag. Inside this is your content. Now, hindi mo lang to basta-basta lalagyan ng limes, tortillas, chicken. You have to include these items inside the list item tag, short for LI, no? Opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. So, your output should be similar to this, no? Meron ka ng makikreate na unordered list, limes, tortillas, chicken. Lalabas na sa browser mo as how you write it on your text editor. Okay, that's how we create an ordered list. Now, minsan naman gusto mong mag-create ng list pero numbered siya. O kaya, ibig sabihin, from top to bottom. Meron siyang pagkakasunod-sunod na sequence. So, ang tawag naman doon ay ordered list. That's the next tag or element that we are going to talk about. Okay, what is an ordered list? This, or OL for short, OL tag. These are like an ordered list except that each item is numbered. So, kanina nakabullet lang po yung ating, katulad nito, bulleted lang yung ating items. So, ngayon, using ordered list, numbered na ito. They are useful. Why? Because when you need to list different steps in a process, or for example, nagra-ranking ka ng item from first to last, mahalaga na gumamit ka ng ordered list. You can create the ordered list with the OL tag and then add individual list items to the list using LI tags as well. So, the format is similar to UL except that magkaiba na sila ng outcome. So, kanina, if we use UL, ngayon, OL na yung gagamitin natin for ordered list. Now, the LI, opening and closing, and its content is being created the same way as UL. So, katulad nito, nagkikreate tayo ng list na on how to create like, pancake, no? So, ito yung step-by-step process niya. Then, if you're creating content with a process, so, mas maganda kung i-represent mo yon sa web browser using an ordered list element. So, once we run this kind of ordered list in our browser, the output will look like this. So, number 1, preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Number 2, mix whole wheat flour, baking soda, and salt. Number 3, cream the butter, sugar in a separate bowl. 4, add eggs and vanilla extract to a bowl, and so on and so forth. Okay, so ito po yung ating example ng ordered list. Now, since we are talking about like creating yung step, kunwari ang content mo nga is ito, yung step in creating, tawag doon? Pancake. Now, for example, gusto mo, may picture ka doon ng mga ingredients or kaya gusto mo lagyan ng picture ng kawali or kung paano na ba yung final outcome ng pancake. You may wanted to add another element in your web browser katulad ng images. Because all of the elements you've learned about so far, yung headings, paragraphs, lists, spans, share one thing in common. Ano yon? They compose entirely of text. Kumbaga, wala pa siyang image at all. Puro text lang po ito. What if gusto mo ngang mag-add ng content to your web page that isn't composed of text, katulad ng image and videos? Pwede po ba yun? Of course naman, no? At alam natin yan. Very, very common yan sa mga nakikita nating websites. Now, in images, we use the IMG tag, short for image, allows you to add an image to a web page. Most elements require both opening and closing tags, but the IMG tag is a self-closing tag katulad ng line break. No, pwede kang gumamit ng IMG tag it's not necessary to create a closing tag anymore for image kasi it's a self-closing one. Please note that the end of the image has a forward slash. So, ibig sabihin, magkikreate ka dito ng, for example, susulat mo yung image mo, type mo is IMG, sorry sa aking penmanship, IMG, tapos, at the end of the anchor tag, meron siyang forward slash. So, kung meron ka ditong attribute na isasama, kailangan mong iwan ng space yon bago mo totally isara yung image tag mo. Okay? So, let me just erase all of this. So, there. Okay, going back. Excuse me. Going back to our discussion. Another thing that we need to know, itong ating example, no? Image, SRC is equals to image location.jpg. One attributes that an image will contain or image element will contain is the SRC. Okay, that's the SRC, again, SRC attribute. SRC is short for image source or the location of the image. Saan mo ba kukunin yung image na i-insert mo sa iyong website? Now, in this case po, the value of the source, itong ating source, must be the uniform resource locator or URL of the image. A URL is the web address or local address where a file is stored. So, in this example, yung image nito is located on the local hard disk of the device na ginagamit ng developer. But if you wanted to use an existing image online, and then all you need to do is to just get the URL of that image, and then yun ang ilalagay mo dito. So, the only problem is, kapag gumamit ka ng local image na nandito sa, for example, sa laptop mo, nakasave sa laptop mo, at hindi mo siya naisama dun sa complete website project mo, pagpunta sa ibang device nun, pag-upload mo sa online, magkakaroon ka ng parang broken link ng image kasi hindi kasama yung image dun sa iyong in-upload. Now, it's the same thing kahit na yung image ay found online. So, for example, kumuha ka ng picture sa Facebook, then kinuha mo yung link nun, papunta sa ibang website. Pagka yung image na yan is deleted na doon sa database ni Facebook, hindi na siya existing doon, binura siya ng user, magkakaroon din ng broken link yon. So, make sure that whenever you use an image for your website design, is to ensure that the image will be found inside the website project. So, hindi naman naiiwasan yon minsan, lalo na kapag hindi naman sarili or hindi mo sarili yung picture na yon, that's fine. Maglagay na lang tayo ng additional, what do you call that, attributes para mas merong sense yung image or broken image na makikita ng user mo. At yun yung susunod nating topic, the image alt. Now, what is the importance of doing this? Hindi naman siya required talaga, pero part of being an exceptional web developer is making your site accessible to users of all backgrounds. Now, in order to make the web more inclusive, we need to consider what happens when assistive technologies such as screen readers come across image tags. For example, kinreate mo yung website mo for a desktop or laptop users. You know for a fact na yung screen ng mga gagamit ng website mo ay mas malaki compared to like cellphones. Maliit lang yung screen nun. So, if they would come across like an image na sobrang laki, hindi yan kayang i-display sa iyong mobile phone. So, therefore, there should be like something that we need to consider to such kind of devices. Okay, now, for the alt attribute, okay, hold on. The alt attribute, which means alternative text, brings meaning to the images on our sites. The alt attribute can be added to the image tag just like the source attribute. Let me give you an example here. Meron tayo ditong image tag, and then inside it is our source attribute. Ang value ng source natin is for the sense na meron lang tayong mailagay, no, a hashtag. And then yung alt natin or alternative text is a field of yellow sunflowers. So since the value of your source is a hash, it's not actually a valid source dahil wala kang tinutukoy dito na image na i-attach dun sa mismong website. So, your browser will not be able to find anything. Therefore, ang makikita na lang dito ng user is yung alternative text na a field of yellow sunflowers. So, ibig sabihin, you're trying to tell your user na the picture is for a field of yellow sunflowers. Okay, next that we need to discuss is that the alt attributes also serves the following purposes. Okay, ano-ano ba yung mga purposes na yon? Number 1, if an image fails to load on a web page, a user can mouse over the area originally intended for the image and read a brief description of the image. Katulad po nito. Okay, another thing, visually impaired users often browse the web with the aid of screen and reading software. Now, para sa naman yun, no? Okay, when you include the alt attribute, the screen reading software can also read the image description out loud to the visually impaired user. So, meaning kung meron silang software para i-interpret yung laman ng web page mo para sa mga visually impaired, o sa Tagalog, bulag, babasahin din nung app na yon kung ano yung nakalagay dun sa alternative text. Therefore, kahit hindi nila nakikita yung image because of their because they are visually impaired, they'll be able to know, okay, there should be a picture on the website about a field of yellow sunflowers. Third, the attribute also plays a role in search engine optimization or SEO because search engines cannot see the image on website as they crawl the internet. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-upload tayo ng parang picture ng sunflower, hindi naman automatically binabasa yun talaga ng web browser mo as sunflower kaagad. Na-locate lang siya sa mga search engines kapag nilagyan mo siya ng alternative text na may nilalamang sunflower katulad nito. Para pag, for example, ako, nag-search ako about sunflower, dahil merong alternative text yung image ng sunflower na meron ako sa website, mas madali yung mahahanap ng mga search engines. So, ganun yung idea niya. So, hindi lang siya basta alternative text, but it actually plays a very important role when it comes to SEO. Like having descriptive alternatives can really improve the ranking of your website. Now, if an image on the web page is not one that conveys any meaningful information to a user, like the visually impaired or otherwise, the alt attribute should be left empty. So again, kapag yung image mo naman is not one to convey a meaningful information, then wag mo nang lagyan ng alternative text yun. Okay lang, kahit wala na. As long as wala naman talaga siyang kino-convey na meaningful information. Alright, so that's it for the image alternative text, no? And again, sabi ko kanina, what if I wanted to insert a video on my website? So it's like a video from another website. Katulad, for example, I have a blog on my YouTube channel. Gusto ko pong i-insert yung video na yon dun sa website na ginagawa ko. However, sa YouTube po siya naka-upload. So, pwede naman yun. Sorry. So, ayun po, no? You can actually use the existing videos, hindi lang sa YouTube, but on other websites, on your own website that you're creating. So, in addition to images, HTML also supports displaying videos. Now, like the image element, the video element requires a source attribute. So SRC for short, no? Unlike the image element, however, the video element requires an opening and closing tag. So kanina, kung yung image ay self-closing tag, ito ay nagre-require po ng isang closing tag. The example here shows that we are going to use the video element. Inside it is the source. Katulad lang po ng purpose ng image yung source natin. Ang ilalagay mo dito yung title ng video na ginamit mo at kung saan siya located. On this example, most likely yung webpage mo na ginagawa at yung video na nasa isang folder lang. Kaya wala na siyang nakalagay pa na kung ano-ano dito exact location. And then you use an additional attribute here, width and height. So we add the value of 320 to the width and 240 value to the height. We are telling our web browser to display the my video using this dimensions, no? 320 pixels and 240 pixels yung kanyang width and height. So ito ay nilalagay doon sa may control ng ating video element. Now, in this example, the video source is myvideo.mp4. The source can be a video file that is hosted alongside your web page, or pwede din namang isang URL that points to a video file hosted at another web page, katulad yung nabanggit ko kanina. After the source attribute, the width and height attributes are used to set the size of the video displayed on the web browser. And then the controls attribute instructs the browser to include basic video controls such as pausing and playing. So, ibig sabihin, magkakaroon pa ng additional button dun sa video mo na meron ng pause and play. Kasi without this, hindi siya automatically naglalagay ng pause and play button sa lahat ng web browsers. But with you making use the control attribute, you're imposing to the browser na magdagdag ka dyan ng pause and play buttons. Again, the controls attribute instructs the browser to include basic video controls such as pausing and playing. Now, the text video, itong part na ito, video not supported between the opening and the closing video tags will only be displayed if yung browser mo is unable to load the video. For example, either wala kang internet, For example, yung video na nai-link mo dun sa website mo ay hindi pala supported ng web browser. Kunwari, isa siyang animation. Tapos, yung format niya sa pagka-upload is hindi supported ng Google Chrome. So, ang magdi-display doon is video not supported. O kaya naman, yung video is, what you call this? Yung video ay, wala na sa database ng website na pinagkuhanan mo. Yung lalabas doon is video not supported pa rin. Kasi yun ang nilagay mo doon sa iyong video element content. So, pwede mo naman yung palitan, no? Parang video not supported or video not found. So, mga ganong klaseng text. So that your user will be able to anong tawag doon? To understand na, okay, there should be a video here, kaya lang the video is not supported on the web browser. Okay, so that's actually the end of our lesson for today about HTML tags. My apologies, no? Parang nagkakaroon ng... Alright, sorry. Let me go back to the slide. Kung ano-anong napipindot nitong aking mousepad. Alright, so ayun po, no? So that's the end of our video, and then kindly let me know if you have questions before we do have an activity regarding HTML tags. Thank you for listening, guys.